Altcoins are down like crazy the past 2 weeks, and some are saying no altcoin season this bull run. Some are also saying Bitcoin's peak is in and we are already heading for the bear market. Well, that's interesting. Having been in crypto for almost 8 years now, this is music to my ears. Thank heavens for these predictions and sayings, and that so many people are saying these things. And I'll share why in the show. Well, if you haven't already, make it rain on that like button. Strap in for the show. We have the real Randy Chavez joining us. Doctor of Stuff will be joining us again next week on Tuesday, which will be our regular day for the OMI is my homie show moving forward. What's going on, Randy?
Well, howdy. How you doing? I'm doing well. I was a little shook this morning because last time I Googled it a couple months ago, Aliens vs. Avengers #3 was supposed to be released today at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but then something happened and it got delayed 2 weeks, and we have to wait another 2 weeks from today in order to get the next part of that epic series. So I stayed up till 3:30 for nothing. Outside of that, we had Disney's earnings call today, and I was taking a look and seeing like, hey, I wonder if at some point VeVe becomes big enough, or they decide to have, instead of like sports and entertainment and physical parks and stuff like that, they have their digital stuff as a line item number. They did not, but I believe that one day VeVe will make an appearance over on the Disney earnings call. We might have to wait another quarter or two for that. So that was kind of my day, and then was going to try to go live again before, but then I was like, I'm not like you. 2 streams in one day is too much for me, man. So you went live before. How'd that go?
Fantastic. I love Wednesdays with Paul. Paul being a successful trader for 30 years. That is so unusual. Most people like get wiped out at a certain point. They start acting emotional, irrational. They stop following proven rules. And Paul's been doing this for 30 years. So his insights are amazing. And we have different strategies about how we trade things. But I always appreciate his insights into things because he just shares exactly how he thinks about things, what he does, and it helps me learn more, especially from an experienced trader for 30 years. Now, I really love this little efficiency that I found of buying generally during the bear market, using research to identify projects I like, and then dollar cost averaging into them, which can suck at certain points. Why? Because sometimes you buy low and it goes lower, and then you buy more low and it goes even lower. And it seems like, oh my gosh, I am buying all the way down to 0. Now, this is where you do research and you're continually confirming what is the likelihood that this project continues until altcoin season. Now, this does require that there is an altcoin season. And some people are saying no altcoin season. I love hearing that, because that's what people said in January of 2021. Even some saying it in February 2021. You know what March of 2021 was? Yeah, massive altcoin season, massive. And guess what? Some had given up in January of 2021. Some had even given up in February of 2021. And so I'm so pleased to hear people saying that now. It makes me know that I am on the right course and that this is still going to come together really strong. And I didn't really doubt it. You're always playing a probabilities game, and the probabilities are super strong that there would be another cycle the year after the halving, 4 years from the previous massive run, and it's playing out that way. On top of that, the U.S. government has never been so pro-crypto in all the history. They completely ignored it till like 2017. Then they didn't completely ignore it. They just mostly ignored it. And then 2021, they definitely stopped ignoring it. But 2021 till present, they were very anti, shut everything down, make everyone avoid allowing U.S. people to buy. And now it's going a whole different track. There's never been such a bullish U.S. government. And as the U.S. goes, a lot of countries then fall and fall low like dominoes. So I think we're going to see countries embracing crypto massively. In fact, Donald Trump says he's going to make the US the crypto capital of the world. Woo! That's big news. So, like, people who are getting bearish now, they're just getting scared because of the charts. I don't know anybody that's a sophisticated long-time investor that is scared right now about crypto. Not even close. They understand that it's just coming together, and this is a shakeout that's just shaking out newer people. And it does effectively shake out newer people that don't have the experience. And yeah, this is going to get good in the coming months.
I think presidencies are very much like that meme where people go and say, well, we have good times lead to weak men lead to hard times lead to like good and strong men, and that leads to good times. And I feel like we're at this point now where we're about to enter those good times because it's been hard for so long. Jake Geigen posted a tweet the other day with a photo on every February of 17, 21, and now 25, where it's just the beginning, where it doesn't feel good because also been punished by the bear market for so long. And then again, right at the start of February, or I shouldn't say the start, because typically with February's, the low of the month is usually by the 6th day, which I believe is tomorrow. And through that, you have on February's, I think 8, how many of them were? There's 11 out of the 14 past Februarys that we've had in crypto all ended positive. I think an average rate of about 20% when they were positive. And then when you go and you take a look at the years, whether it's 2012, 14, the even years, then the odd years, all the odd years were positive. And the low is generally on the 6th. I think 4 of them were on like the 1st and 1 was on the 2nd. We had a pretty dark day on February 2nd, and that might be the same. Again, it doesn't repeat, but damn it, if it doesn't rhyme. I'm very excited for what's to come. I've been stacking. I have next to no dry powder left because it's just all in there. And if there's a little bit more, there's another dip on the way, cool. I'll find a way to get some more dry powder and I'll chuck it in. But again, that's just me. This is not financial advice. None of this is advice. This is just what we're doing.
Yeah. I think this is the last chance for people to get in altcoins at amazingly low prices. Some things being near their bear market lows, and a few of them being at their lowest bear market lows, but most not actually touching their previous lows, but going somewhat close to it. It's an exciting time. Now, our good longtime friend, Wes, who's always so bullish on OMI, says, I admire your guys' conviction, but every week for 3 years, OMI continues downward. First of all, you're right, Wes. For pretty much 3 years, OMI has mostly continued downward. Not every week has it actually been down, but if you look at the overall trend and string it together, you could kind of say that wouldn't be fully accurate, just be mostly accurate. That yes, it's definitely down over 3 years, and it generally has continued down. It's had some weeks that gone up massively and then corrected back downwards and gone even further down. So OMI is right near its bear market low. So that must mean sell, right? Sell, like give up on it. It's going to dead. I've heard people say VeVe's OMI token is a slow rug pull, that OMI is a dead token. Why shouldn't I just sell it all and roll it into, I don't know, Trump coin or Doge?
I think it's good to recognize people's consternations, just like Wes has, because he might be one of the only vocal ones that come on here and will sometimes be bullish and sometimes be bearish depending on his mood. But he represents a lot of people. And again, I can't speak for everyone or really anyone other than myself. But when I was younger, and even still to this day, I read a lot of books, a lot of manga, a lot of comic books, and all those stories are replete with characters that are, their main lesson was that they missed out on something. And they could have tried something and they let it go and they had that regret. And I'm not going to let that be me. If there's anything I can take from that story, those stories, it's to never go on saying, oh, I wish I could have, I wish I would have done that. So that's why I'm all in, because it would hurt me more if I didn't go all in, or if I didn't invest in any of these things that I honestly believe will do this 100x, 300x, maybe 1000x for some of these. And it would hurt more if I didn't do it and it went up, as opposed to me trusting myself, using the knowledge and experience I've gained from high risk lending, from Pokemon cards, Tesla, all that. If I chose not to go in, yeah, that would be a big regret. I would much rather go in, trust my gut, and not just my gut, but knowledge that I've gained as well. And then if it doesn't do what I think it'll do and I lose, then I have no one to blame but myself, but at least I tried.
Yeah. So one of the downsides of this strategy of buying when things are low is things often get cheaper because you don't have a magic crystal ball to know where the bottom is. And, longtime investors, the Rothschilds, which I think have invested for like 4 centuries, said that they never end up timing getting the exact bottom, and they never end up timing getting the exact top, because most investment classes have cycles. What's particularly unique about crypto is that it's a 4-year cycle. That's a really short amount of time. The real estate cycle is anywhere from 17 to 22 years long from top to the next top. So crypto is really, really short. So when you're dollar cost averaging during the bear market and even the bull market, when your altcoin narrative hasn't run, you're buying low and it often goes lower for you. And perfect example of OMI, it goes lower and then it goes lower and then it goes lower and then it goes lower. And a lot of people see this as a terrible thing. They get frustrated and they don't have the patience to let it play out. They're like, it does nothing but go down and I'm just going to sell. They're missing the bigger picture. They're making the assumption of recency bias, that what has continued down is just going to continue down. They then sell at lows to buy into something that has gone up, also making the recency bias problem of what has gone up is going to continue going up. So one of the things I've done is dollar cost average in what I feel are substantive projects during the bear market, and then holding them till the bull market when the altcoin season happens and that narrative hits. First of all, the altcoin season hasn't come yet. Second of all, the digital collectibles narrative hasn't hit. So it's not sell time for me. And I'm just going to patiently wait. Now, a few weeks ago, I was able to pick up 40 plus million more OMI. Some people think that's crazy. They're like, what are you doing? It's a dead coin. Cool. We'll see who's right on this. That's what I was buying last bear market. And people told me I was crazy buying more Cardano and more of other tokens that were doing nothing at the time, but go down. And then they finally went up. And when they did, the gains were huge. And it changed my finances for forever. Now, I did have the advantage that prior to crypto, I had been cycle investing in real estate and some other things. So I understood cycles. It wasn't really clear from the cycles of 2013 and 2017 that really every 4 years we have a massive bull run. That cycle has proven out even more, but back then that was my thesis, that 2021 we'd have a really big bull run again. There would be another altcoin season. But I have to say, at January and February, I was starting to doubt, and I was starting to wonder if all these fudders were right, because I had never been through a bear market. That was my first one. And it wasn't really as proven as it is even now. And so I started to wonder, but I was stubborn enough. I just held on like somebody, just holding on for their life with their fingernails in and just being way too stubborn to give up. The prices were so devastated. Why in the hell would I sell now? I put $20,000 into something that now was worth like $5,000. And yes, that's frustrating. But some of those things turned out to go to $500,000. Imagine if I had sold at $5,000 because I was bummed that it had gone down from $20,000 to $5,000. Would have missed out on all the gains. I would have went through all the heartache and all the pain to give up right before the finish line. And maybe I was wrong. And if so, it was going to go from $5,000 to zero. And you know what? I was willing to take that bet. And it's like, it could go to zero. Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm wrong on this. But hell, if I'm going to sell now, I've already lost 75% of the value. I'm going to take the chance all the way to zero, or that I'm right on this. End up being right. $500,000 gains, 100x from the bottom. It was juicy. And, all those haters, I don't know where they went. I don't know what happened to them. I don't see them on Twitter anymore. I don't see them on social media. I think they just flat out washed out. I don't know. But we have a new round of haters, and a new round of, they're not truly haters. They're just scared, and they're acting scared. They're new to this. They don't understand what they're talking about, but they think they do. I don't know. Was it Mark Twain that said something like, it isn't what we have wrong in our life that hurts us the most. It's what we think we know that we're completely wrong on. No, it isn't what we don't know that hurts us the most. It's what we think we know that we're completely wrong on that hurts us the very most. And that is absolutely the case. I see that over and over again in crypto. One of my big holdings in 2020, 2019, I was buying Cardano, and I started buying at 11 cents. Do you think it was probably pretty frustrating to me when it bottomed out at 1.7 cents? Yep, that was pretty frustrating. I had thankfully made massive additional pickups at 3 cents. Thank goodness. But then it went to 1.7 cents, and I was like, dang, if I could have just waited. Oh my gosh, it's so cheap. Then it went to $3.40. So it's like, man, cool.
Oh,
all these people were saying Cardano was a dead project. Charles Hoskinson's an idiot. Charles Hoskinson is a liar. Charles Hoskinson got kicked out of the E Foundation for stupid ideas and all these things. And you know what? They were dead wrong. Cardano did amazing things in 2021, and all those people missed out. And those of us who refused to listen to them did really well.
There's a quote from Marcel Proust where he goes on and he says that nobody can prepare you for the journey in which you must take to receive wisdom. I butchered that quote, but you get what I mean. And where I want to go with that is that you've been in this for quite a while, and it's taken you down many paths, but there's a consistency with the ones that go crazy. People give up just before the finish line. That night is darkest just before the dawn. Now, tell me the average on when it hits the bottom and then it goes crazy. How long is it generally from where it hits the bottom till it goes crazy? Does it happen in a matter of months, weeks? Let me know.
Well, so often the bottom happens like the year before or the year of the halving for many tokens. There's some that then it happens right before it goes up. So like the bottom is a full year before things take off. But there's cases where it bottoms out, puts a stake in the ground, hits completely new all-time lows, and then a month later is going absolutely apeshit. So what will happen with OMI? My guess is OMI's run is still further down the road, that some other narratives run before the digital collectibles narrative runs. Cool. I hope it plays out that way, because I would love for some of my other bags to run away tremendously and be able to pick up more OMI, more collectibles at same prices or lower, or maybe slightly higher than they are today, and be able to roll some gains. Say I got 50x gains on that, and OMI was the same price. And then I rolled that money into OMI, and say OMI goes 50x from here. That is a 2.5k x on that money, getting 50x, then additional 50x again. Like, that would be absolutely amazing. Now, how will it play out? I don't know. I'm really excited to see how 2025 plays out. Been waiting for this year for 3 years now, and super excited. My bags are completely packed. 90% of people think I'm dead wrong on this, and I'm like, yes, those numbers are so good. I'm so glad that like 90% of people think I am wrong on this. Some of those people are just like, oh, Bitcoin is where it's at. Why are you holding all this shit, altcoins, blah, blah, blah. Some people are saying, I see this argument a lot. Too many altcoins nowadays. Good luck finding the needle in the haystack. It's not luck. It's called research. And I hear that argument made a lot. You know when else that argument was made? January 2021. Way too many altcoins. And it's true. There are a lot of altcoins out there. There's even more substanceless altcoins out now than there was 4 years ago by a huge magnitude. But the wave of adoption will go much bigger this time. And the substanceless ones might pump a tiny bit. Many of them won't. They'll just be completely ignored as people go on a quest for those projects with substance. And so what happened in 2021 in the bull run, this also happened in 2017, was everyone turned into a super researcher and they were looking for things with substance. And those narratives pumped really, really hard. And why is that not going to happen this time? It is going to happen this time. Now, is it 100% guarantee it's going to happen? No, it's just a very high probability. It might be a 95% probability, 91% probability, 97% probability. It's extremely high probability. You know, what could short circuit that? Nuclear war across the globe could totally F that up. But if that does happen, everything's F'd up anyway.
Is it possible you could bring up that comment again with the altcoins and there's too many of them?
Yes. Well, we got so many comments. I am having a hard time keeping up on these.
There's too many comments.
Wow.
That's a good problem.
No, I can't keep up with it. Okay, where did that go? That was by Jam, and right there.
As he brings that up, we basically have new words from the SEC commissioner talking about exactly what Jem is saying. Spinning up coins and tokens is easy. If people want to buy a token or product that lacks a clear long-term value proposition, they should feel free to, but should not be surprised if someday the price drops. In this country, people generally have a right to make decisions for themselves, but the counterpart to that wonderful American liberty is the equally wonderful American expectation that people must decide for themselves, not look to mama government to tell them what to do or not to do, nor bail them out when they do something that turns out badly. So again, if people want to go gambling at the altcoin, meme coin casino, where there's like 30 million of these things, they can. But I feel like if people go in and they buy tokens that are attached to companies that have revenue, one, if they're actually profitable, even if they're not profitable and they just have revenue and they can keep the lights going on, that's generally enough to take them towards the bull market. And then hopefully that narrative spins. But again, VeVe is profitable. Obviously, DevvE, DFINITY, all these things that we talk about, but it's an OMI show, so let's stick with them. They have these entire, and your Jem is right. There's a lot of these things, and there's a lot more choices that people have. And if people have more than like 3 or 4 choices, they can't decide. If anyone's ever been on a date with a gal that they fancy and they say like, oh, I don't know, what do you want to eat? They can't decide. Why? Because there's just too many choices. But if you say, hey, do you want Chinese or Italian? Generally, they'll pick one or the other. And they'll go, and the choice is easy at that point because there's only 2. If you limit the amount of choices you have to companies that are disruptive, they have good CEOs, they have community, they have revenues, and they have a product that people want to use or buy, then that's where I like to put my money. And again, just to bring that up, to hammer this home, when people had the choice of just NFT PFP projects, they were a dime a dozen even 3 years ago, 4 years ago. But the market has matured, and you can't just say, oh, I have a PFP project now. That doesn't work anymore. You maybe like Pudgy Penguins, cool. That's the exception, not the rule. The general rule is that you need something a little bit of more substance, and that's what VeVe has. And again, the token attached to that, which right now, yeah, you could buy a couple of IPs, but Stacker had said the other day they're looking forward to rolling out even more IPs in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully that means Q1, if it means Q2, then it means Q2. They have the affiliate marketing program. Half the hires that have been hired at VeVe have been for marketing positions. I really like where this company's going. I really like the trajectory it's on, and I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
Yeah. The profile picks things taking off back in 2021. What most don't realize is that most of the profile pick projects that came out during that failed miserably, kind of like meme coins. Like the percentage of successes out of like 4,000 projects, like 5 went big, right? With Bored Ape Yacht Club being the biggest. It wasn't a really good number, and some of it was luck, some of it was the right things coming together, some of it was a really good team behind Bored Ape Yacht Club with really smart marketing ideas. But the right things came together, the right people bought them, that got enough momentum that more people bought them, almost like meme coins. And so I don't generally do those because those are risky bets. Like Doctor of Stuff sent me Bored Ape Yacht Club stuff when the floor was 0.08 ETH. And he's like, look at this. Now, he had sent actually a couple different projects to me. But I was like, I just don't like the odds on these profile pick ones. They're all trying to be the next CryptoPunk, and it's hard to tell which one will be. And like the team was anonymous on Bored Ape Yacht Club at the time. You couldn't tell anything about them. It wasn't a good bet that it would do well. It did end up going well, but you couldn't research it and see that the chances were really high. So I passed up that one for other things like OMI at the time, VeVe's collectibles. I mean, you could have bought Batman Black and White for $80 then or 80 gems on the store. And that later went to 16,000. So it didn't outperform what Bored Ape Yacht Club had. But why was the first Batman on the blockchain not going to do well? Like, I felt like that was a much less risky bet. Didn't have the same upside that Bored Ape Yacht Club had. But there were 4,000 different profile pick ones competing for what Bored Ape Yacht Club did. Whereas there was only one first Batman on the blockchain. And VeVe had that license. And so I went heavy on that as a better bet, a massive IP and a digital collectibles thing. So it is easy to look at Bored Ape Yacht Club and be like, that went up so much and missed it. That one was really hard to research. Some of that was just luck, the people that bought into that. There were a few big NFT people really pushing it. So you could have done your research and found that out. But it was always a very, very risky bet. What I like about VeVe is I feel like the risk is low and the returns are fairly high. Now, Bored Ape Yacht Club went incredible that you could have paid like $400. 0.08 ETH at the time was about $400. You could have paid that and it would have gone to $400,000, which is 1,000x, which is absolutely incredible. Cool. A few things did better than that. OMI's token did do better than that. Had you bought it in 2020 and held it to March of 2021, it did about a 3,000x. But a few things did those kind of numbers. And will the VeVe collectibles do 1,000x from here? I doubt it. Will OMI do 1,000x from here? No. But what do I feel the likelihood? The likelihood that Bored Ape Yacht Club was going to fail was actually quite high. It didn't end up failing, but the probabilities were about 95% or higher that it was probably going to fail, and about 5% it would succeed. Well, sometimes even with 20-to-1 odds, things work out. And what was the likelihood that, was the likelihood that OMI is going to fail from here into the bull run? I would gauge them as really, really low. What is the potential upside if it succeeds? Well, I think it'll exceed its previous highs of 1.4 cents. I think it'll even go to 5, 6, 7 cents on the low side. It might go much, much higher than that. And so the upside from here is tremendous. That's like a 200x if it goes to 7 cents, a little over a 200x. And those are incredible possible returns.
So last time when you mentioned, hey, OMI did that 3,000x, I believe that did that inside of like 2 months. Like it, wherever it was at, then within 2 months, it happened to go do that. Is that something that you've seen where something kind of peters across, trading sideways for a while, and then when it blows? I think that's what I meant to ask before, but I completely misworded that.
It's a little bit rare that it goes. Number one, a 3,000x is rare entirely. It's even more rare that it happened in such a short amount of time. And some of that had to do with, like, it shouldn't have gone as high as it did. Part of the reason it went as high as it did was because a lot of people had their OMI trapped on the VeVe app, and they didn't know how to get it off to get it to the marketplace to sell it. So that contributed to it. And it seems, I don't know if I have this correct, but Ben, who was working with the team once upon a time, seems to have made a deal with some major influencers to talk about OMI, even though they didn't know anything about OMI. And that gave it initial pump. So I think OMI swung higher than it should have. And often when that happens, the correction is massive. And that's what we've seen and continue to see some, is when the pendulum swings too far to the upside, it swings too far to the downside. Cool. I like that kind of volatility because that is what creates the potential for massive gains. Swing too far to the downside is an amazing thing.
Great. Some of the other comments that we've seen from people over on X have been about the VeVeverse. Then they are in Unity, that is a gaming engine. And from the videos that we've seen, hey, we see roads next to your showroom. Okay, well, why do we need roads unless we were able to drive our cars there? It showed the Maserati, it showed Lambos. So I feel like at some point in this, that's another narrative that people don't really see yet, is that metaverse narrative. So you have the digital collectibles, you have metaverse, you have AI, which a lot of our collectibles will be, AI will be inculcated in all of this stuff that would be able to talk to them in the metaverse. So this is something that I think we can kind of triple dip over here. It might create that perfect storm. Does it, what Rain said, that 200x is about 6 cents. And I'd say 3 to 5 cents is my base case. So 6 cents is right around there. I am not going to hodl this until 20 cents. Like, no, I'm holding all the way to 20. Will I have a moon bag that'll keep till that point or higher? Absolutely. But I think what also people recognize is they say, like, hey, we have a lot more people that are going to sell at this point than there were last time. And they're right. But there's also a lot of people that they have a lot more and they're not going to sell until it reaches a certain price. And I'm not saying that it should reach 20 cents or even 10 cents or even 6. But there's many people that believe that it not only will just go to 6 or 10 cents, but they truly believe that it'll go much higher and they won't sell until it hits that. Now, unfortunately, some of those people might get wrecked if they believe it's going to 20 cents and it only hits 10 and then they just never sell. And that happens every time. That's going to happen. But you do have other things at play there. And I'm pretty excited for where it's going to go. That's my base case, 3 to 5 cents. I don't know if that's a little too far out there. It's not enough.
So the argument that people say is there's a lot more people that are going to be ready to sell. And what they're not realizing is they're thinking the OMI community is only the people that are here now. They don't realize that there will be waves of people buying from here. They haven't even bought a single OMI. They know nothing about it yet. And they'll be buying at 3 or 4 or 50x what the current prices are. And they will be excited to be buying more when it possibly is going absolutely nuts and crazy. And so they're just seeing who holds it now, and they're not realizing that there will be double to 5 to 20 times the amount of owners that there are now in that future as it goes crazy, as people FOMO in. Like, we were having a conversation and you said, I think it was you that was telling me that like 4 old people were asking you to help them buy Trump coin and they didn't know anything about crypto and Solana. And here they were, oh my gosh, Trump coin, how do I buy it? And that's what happens when a narrative hits. And OMI's narrative will hit and you'll get those kind of questions. How do I buy OMI? And you'll especially get those kind of questions at the top. And so they're not, the people that are thinking this, they're just thinking one-dimensional, not 2 or 3-dimensional. And it doesn't play out like they're thinking. It plays out quite different. You have waves of new people buying in and holding that are brand new at this, and they haven't been through. And some of the people who washed out will be coming in and paying 20x this, and they'll be holding. And so it's not just the people holding now. So will I be selling some at like 5 cents? Yeah. Will I be selling more at 7 and 8 cents? Yeah. Will I be selling more if it hits higher than that? Yeah, I will. And I will sell probably most my OMI. And people will be like, Rain, you're so short-sighted. Why are you selling? It's like, look, buy low, sell high. If I don't sell high, then what is the point, right? So it's like, oh, OMI for forever. And it's like, yeah, I'm just signing up for this 4-year window, and that OMI. Now, I love what OMI is doing, and I would be buying some VeVe things regardless because I love VeVe. But the reason I'm buying so much OMI is because I think it's way, way, way undervalued. If OMI was 20x the price it is now, I wouldn't be buying it. I would be consider rolling any that I did have into other things and taking some profits there. But like OMI's at a really good price. So as an investor, I like to buy low, sell high. I believe in VeVe tremendously. I think they're going to be one of the number one players in a field in the future that's going to be gigantic. This idea of digital collecting. They broadened so that they've got stamp collectors. They've got comic books, which is huge, absolutely huge. Digital comic books, having Marvel and then a few other IPs. These 3D like augmented reality collectibles that are like Disney and Marvel and Batman and all these top brands. They're super well positioned as this idea of digital collecting really takes off. And it hasn't really hit mainstream yet. You know, it's hit mainstream when Saudi princes are flexing their VeVe collection. Yeah, might be a good time to start taking some profits then. Not now, when nobody outside of us is talking about it and 90% of people are bearish on it. That's way better news than you realize. If you look to the left on the charts, I was just having a chat with a good friend about this, and he was like, oh my gosh, is OMI a good buy now? Are you buying more? You know, the sentiment is so bad on OMI right now. And I said, look to the left on any crypto chart and find when it was at its devastating lows. Now tell me, what do you think community sentiment on the token was at that time? Do you think community sentiment overall that 95% of people were bullish, being like, yes, it's going to go to the moon from here? Even though you could see in the chart that it did then, what do you think community sentiment was back then? This is a dead coin. Oh my gosh, the team's not doing this right, this right, this right. I hate the team. Leadership sucks. That's what the community sentiment was. Why do you think the token price got as low as it did? And yet you see, then it turned around, might have gone 50x up, 100x up, 500x up. And then what do you think community sentiment was when it was 500x up? Oh my gosh, the team just goes great and is doing everything right. And what do you think happened then? So when the community sentiment is 90% bullish, do you think that's time to be buying or selling? Selling. Oh my hell. When the community sentiment is over 90% bearish, is that time to be buying or selling? Someone say sell. Cool. Why have you not made any money in crypto relatively? Why are you not rich already? You know so much. Well, because you're wrong on this. That is a good time to be buying because the number one principle of making money in crypto is as simple as this. Buy low, sell high. Most people cannot do that simple thing. They buy high, hoping it goes higher, and end up selling lower. So they buy high, sell low. On that whole idea, Sanjay had a comment here on Palantir, right? So this doesn't just happen in crypto. It happens in all kinds of things. Palantir stayed low for 4 years while analysts and most pundits and people said silly things like it's dead, boring, nothing's going on with it. And this year with the growth of AI, beyond Gen AI, they hit the ball out of the park. Guess what? They hit the ball out of the park. So all the pundits are saying now it's amazing, buy Palantir. It's great when it's expensive. What were they saying when it was cheap? Oh, no, nothing's happening. They're done. They're not going to survive, etc. So funny. If you listen to all those pundits, why do you think they're like not rich, these pundits? Why are these pundits even on TV talking about stocks? Why aren't they living in their mansions? Because they don't know how to buy low and sell high. That's why.
There's an advantage that OMI has that we haven't really talked about. Maybe we have, but it was in passing. We could do 100x from here and we'd still be at just under 3 cents. So people will go in and they'll say like, oh yeah, I could buy this. What if it goes to $1? I've heard that with every single token that has like 8 zeros. Yeah, what if it goes to $1? What if it does what Dogecoin does and it goes to, like 10 cents, 20 cents? Not recognizing that the market cap would be ridiculous. And there was a stream, I think that we were on the other, like couple weeks ago, where somebody in the comments was just like, hey, you should buy some DevvE. And this guy said like, a little too expensive. I like tokens like OMI with lots of zeros. Now, obviously, after explaining it, people can go and say like, oh, okay, actually, yeah, it doesn't necessarily matter if it's worth $1 or if it's worth, 3 cents or 0003. Really just matters what the market cap is, et cetera. And once you explain it, then yeah, people can understand. But a lot of people, when they first get in, again, they don't have mentors. They don't have these. Maybe they're watching people that they shouldn't watch. Maybe they're listening to people that they shouldn't listen to just because they're speaking confidently. And they say, yeah, get someone with a lot of zeros. But that's something with a lot of zeros could have like a 3x the market cap that something else has at $1. So I think when people go in and this starts to take off and people are like, oh yeah, I heard OMI's pumping and it's still only 3 cents. If I get it, it goes to $1. That's a 33x from here. And not realizing that $1 would be $300 billion market cap, which is insane. And again, you have that mindset of people that think it can do that, and they'll just hodl. They'll buy a bunch and they'll just hold, essentially locking that out of the supply. And also, like you said, sentiment is a big thing. We had just burned 5.5 billion OMI, didn't do much for the price, so people are still bearish. Same thing with Pudgy Penguins. They just burned a whole bunch of Pengu, or I think whatever, and a buddy of mine showed screenshots. It's like yeah, we burned stuff, but it's still down like 8. I think they were down like 2% today. I think looking it up, they're down like 14% now, and that's after something that's supposedly really bullish with pumpamentals. Again, you just have to wait for that narrative to hit, and when it hits, it's going to hit like a mother flapper.
Yeah, want to address the comment. And he might not like what I have to say here, but this is an interesting comment. When I see stuff like this, not my favorite type of comment. First of all, Harry J says, you ruined my life by telling me to buy OMI. Harry, did you buy high and sell low? Didn't we just talk about buying high and selling low? Now, was it truly high? You might have bought when it was cheap. And what happened? Probably went cheaper. First, I would ask you the question of who told you to buy OMI? I know I don't tell people what to buy. I only tell them what I'm buying. So, like the grown-up that I hope you are, you're going to take ownership of your own decisions. Secondly, did you sell low? Because imagine I had bought Cardano at 11 cents, which I did. Imagine when it went to 1.7 cents, I sold and I turned around and I blamed the YouTuber who told me all about it, informed me all about it. And then I decided to pull the trigger, but instead of taking responsibility, I went, you effer. You ruined my life. I bought Cardano 11 cents and now I'm selling at 1.7 cents and you ruined my life. Now, who ruined whose life? Number one, I bought higher and I sold lower. That's the number one principle to losing money. So I held. And guess what? Cardano didn't die. So if I just held it till it died or till it went up massively, well, I ended up doing just fine because that was my thing. I was just going to hold it till it died, or that it goes up massively, because I definitely wasn't going to buy high and sell lower just because everyone was flooding it. And if, Harry, you made that mistake, well, that is the best learning lesson you could have made towards becoming a savage crypto investor, which you are not yet. And guess what? Most people new to crypto are not. And most people make that decision at least once to do exactly that. The smart ones, the 5% of people, learn from that and they don't do that kind of thing again. They either hold till it dies or till altcoin season goes crazy, and they make tremendous money. Now, is OMI's altcoin season going to come? Well, the probabilities are amazingly good. And if you sold at these prices, I'd say you probably made one of the biggest mistakes you could have made. But we'll see how it plays out. Maybe you were right on that. Maybe it goes all the way to zero. I have no idea why the OMI token would fail from here. The team is really strong, continues to get stronger. They're making really good decisions. It's just the digital collectibles narrative has not hit yet, and that is coming. And when it does, OMI will go crazy, and you'll have missed one of the best rides you could have been on.
There's so obviously I have no issue admitting when I'm wrong, or at least when I was early. I should not have pumped in 600,000 into this when it was in the double zeros. Hindsight 2020, I should have waited. I was wrong at my entry point. But where Harry J says day after day, Randy told me to buy OMI, that is a lie. because in December of 2020, when I was going in and making Earth 2 videos, I had a comment from my friend where he said, hey, you shouldn't tell people to buy. Now, granted, that was the entire point of the video, saying, hey, I'm buying if you want. And I said, hey, you should buy too because of X, Y, and Z. That video was taken down afterwards because my friend Mark had been sued for that same thing. And I've made a point to never say that on camera ever again. So, Harry J, please do not lie. Mr.
Well,
MC.
thankfully, he says, I still have it. Now, if you use words like this, telling people to shut up, that will get you booted. We don't need you here. That isn't appreciated. So using that kind of language, do it again, and I will boot you and ban you permanently. Now, you can say, I still have it. So it didn't go that way. That would have been fine to say. And congratulations for still having it. So what do you mean your life is ruined? Now, you do say something interesting. All my friends, all my family are laughing at me. I remember the pain of that. When Cardano, which was one of my holdings, but it was maybe a third of what I put into in the last bear market, and it was going down, and I was trying to talk to people about crypto, and yes, it felt like everyone was laughing at me. Who had the last laugh? Me. Hugely. Because guess what happened when altcoin season came in March of 2021? Hey, Rain, how's your crypto going? Well, I'm a multimillionaire now. What? Tell me more. So who had the last laugh? I did. So I'm glad you didn't sell. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah. Also,
is it okay to feel frustrated and scared right now? Well, I know I did in January of 2021, even early February 2021. I was like, I hope this happens. Whew. It did. It did. So it's okay to feel scared. It's way okay to feel frustrated. In fact, a lot of my Rainmaker community, this is their first bull market that they prepared for, and it's going to go amazingly well for them. But they're just feeling the same feelings that you're feeling. Is this really going to come together? Is this going to happen? Because they haven't experienced it yet. They have faith, but it's hard to have faith when day after day people are pounding on that, and it seems like it just won't happen. But you're in a really good place that 90% of people are disagreeing with you. And that is a really good place to be. When you should be really scared is 90% of people are agreeing with you that everything's going to go great. And that will be a good time to sell, not a good time to be buying more.
There is now I don't know how Eric Trump is going to go in and take a look at some of the people that might want to sue him, because he said the other day is that, hey, it's a great time to enter Ethereum. And 7 minutes ago, he says, feels like a great time to enter Bitcoin. So I don't know if he's going to fight those off, but I guess when you're the president's son, you could do relatively whatever you want. There was, Alec Powell, same thing with DevvE. Preach.
Sanjay says, Randy, I'm so excited for a head of product for Google DeepMind. Will be on your channel February 10th. So I'll join Randy for that.
Get you guys a time. That'll be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Cannot wait for that. So we got I interviewed, do you know Bleaves Crypto? He covers DevvE a lot. I interviewed him yesterday, and he's got like a ton. He's got like, I mean, not as much as you, but more than me. He's got 75,000 DevvE, and he's just like, well, like, now I don't really do TA or anything, but he was just like, based on this cup and handle and the time it was from the bottom to this, once it trades sideways a little bit more, it's going to go to like $18. Breaks past that, it goes to like 192. I was like, bro, that's insane. It was pretty fun. He's a really cool guy. So he was on yesterday. We have this tonight. We have next Tuesday. Oh yeah, next Monday. That's the 10th. We're gonna have Amit Gera on from Google. Then we'll have the OMI show on the 11th, and then President Biden's campaign manager, Greg Schultz, will be on the 13th. So next week is going to be a pretty packed week.
Those are some awesome guests, Randy. So tune into Randy's channel for these awesome guests. Really interested to see what somebody heavily involved in Democrat politics thinks about crypto. There's a split. There's the Democrat politicians over the age of 60, like Elizabeth Warren. They're like, I hate crypto, blah, 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 blah. And then there's the rest of the Democrat politicians that are like, oh my gosh, this is so good for our people. Are you kidding me? I love it. and it'd be interesting to see what he has to say about crypto. A few different speculations here. That's like that might have been Cavell Anderson's secret account. I love this one even better. The Arcturus says Harry J equals Paul Barron in real life. Oh, that would be so funny if that was Paul Barron. But again, that would be funny. Rumors are around DevvE might explode this month. It's looking like it's accumulating right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if later this month goes absolutely nuts. Yeah. Inchiro Honda, I bet neither of these guys get any girls.
Clearly, he's talking about the Paul J dude.
Much. I think he's talking about us.
Talking about us.
Wow.
I will have you know that I have had more than 2 girls in my entire life. There was a rumor a few years ago that like I don't know, I forget where it started, but Jordan pulled up the tweet. It's like, "Yo, guys, I think Randy's a virgin," and I kind of embraced that. I thought that was fun. The memes of just Randy has never felt the warmth of a woman was pretty hysterical. Those are great.
Yeah, I'm a total virgin. I can't get a girl to save my life. I mean, my wife, okay, she's beautiful, but I can't get a girl to save my life. So good thinking there.
Do you read about that couple that for whatever reason they wanted to stay like abstinent even after marriage? So whenever they got like the urge, the woman would put her head under like the faucet, and then the guy would just eat like a whole potato to try to get them out of the mood. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever read.
Life's very short. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Yeah.
Love to be friends with those people. Anyway, we have a
now it is OMI is my homie. I don't mind talking about other things I'm bullish on. OMI is one of my larger bags in crypto. I believe strongly in OMI. That's why we created this show to talk about OMI and VeVe stuff. Now, do I keep like in depth on VeVe stuff as much as some people do? No, that's one of the reasons Randy and Doctor of Stuff keep up so much. I am all in on OMI. VeVe, I've been stacking, but truthfully, I wish their price had been punished way more during the bear market. Unfortunately for me, as an investor that loves to buy low and sell high, VeVe's community is so strong during the bear market that the collectibles, their prices have gone down a lot, but they haven't been massively savaged like some other things have because the VeVe community has been so strong. And I would love to see prices a lot cheaper because then I'd be coming in with serious money. But I only buy some collectibles occasionally. I keep dollar cost averaging in OMI massively because I think OMI is too massively undervalued. And I like buying cheap and then going higher. Now, many that have been following my channel for a while knows that I've been covering DevvE for 3 years. And they didn't even launch their token until a year ago. But about 6 months ago, their price went down to 12 or 13, 14 cents. And I was calling it like massively undervalued. What is anyone doing not picking this up at these prices? Token investing, they had a 10-month token investing for pre-sale investors, was pushing that price down combined with the bear market. And some people didn't decide on their own after doing the research that it was worth them buying. It's now trading between $1.15 and $1.65. What are your thoughts on DevvE?
Oh, if I can quote Wolf of Wall Street, my only regret is that I didn't buy more, especially when it was at 30 cents and 15 cents and getting down to 12. But I've got a small position. It's my 3rd largest position. And I think that in the next couple of months, as long as OMI and Definity stay down here, that could be my largest position. And if it is, then I'll, depending on what's announced, depending on how things are going, I might take some profits and roll in. I might hodl. I mean, I think at some point, probably around that $18 mark, maybe even 17 or 16 now. Because when everyone's saying like, oh, I think it goes like, when everyone's saying I think Bitcoin goes to like 300,000, maybe it's a good idea to probably sell at like 250 or 275. Just take a little off just in case. So when I have a bunch of people say like, oh, I think $18 to $20, maybe I'll take some profits at like 16 or 17. And again, if OMI's super cheap still, I'll 100% go into that. So because at that point, can this go to $200? DevvE, sure. So if I sell at 20, he's like, yeah, it could do another 10x from there. But I think OMI does a multiple of that. I think that can do like 1 to 200x from where it is now, and I'd rather do that. And again, I'd already have those gains, so I love it. I love the fact that they have the multiple announcements coming in before the big one. We're not 100% sure what that is yet, although everyone's kind of guessing NASDAQ. Again, we're not 100% sure, but generally where there's smoke, there is fire. So hopefully we'll get something along those lines. And just nobody knows about it yet. The volume of it has been on the heaviest volume days. It's maxed out at just under 3 million. So what happens when you do like a 33x of that and we get to 100 million in volume? Do you also 33x the price? No, but can you like 10x the price just from that? I think so. And again, that's just the beginning. So that's kind of how I feel on it.
Yeah, DevvE has an awareness problem right now, and historically, a lot of projects that are now in the top of CoinMarketCap had an awareness problem that nobody was aware of them. And so, like, does it break through and get massive awareness? Yeah, I strongly suspect it will. Is it there now? No, it's not. So when do you want to buy it? After everyone knows about it, or using research to determine, is this one that everyone might know about? Now, they've been teasing out a big announcement with a strategic partner that is one of the biggest players in traditional stock exchanges, though they haven't said the name. Many are suggesting that it's NASDAQ. Wow, that would be absolutely huge if they have a partnership with NASDAQ, because they have some things that their new exchange model solves that nothing else in the world solves. So not only do they have the fastest blockchain in the world, doing 8 million transactions per second, with some other things that make their blockchain superior to most layer ones that have an $8 billion market cap. Yet their market cap has been floating around 100 to 120 million. And they're faster, better, but less known than those that have an $8 billion market cap. Well, isn't that what an undervalued project looks like? That there's no awareness, but substantively, they have many, many strengths over the ones that are now trading an $8 billion market cap. When do you want to buy? When nobody's talking about it, or when everyone's talking about it? Well, I buy low and I wait to see if it hits. Now, is it going to hit? I don't know. I bought Ecomi in their pre-sale in the early days when they were talking about digital collectibles, and it didn't go crazy until March of 2021. In later February, it really started, but then by March 2021, it peaked at 1.4 cents, which was incredibly up. My low $400 investment was worth about $90,000. Man, that's some really big gains. Now, if I had bought at the bottom and put $400 in, would have done even better. Well, some people just literally can't buy low. They can't buy DevvE when the price is like 14 cents. They just wait till everybody is talking about it. And by then you've missed the gains. So like the number one key that I try to teach people in this space is buy low, sell high. That's really hard to do. So that's all right. Maybe this isn't for some people. In fact, some people watching this will absolutely wash out because they will end up selling at lows because they can't take the pressure. They don't have the patience to wait it out. It's okay. About 5% of people do really, really well in crypto. And I'm trying to teach those that will listen how to be in that 5%. Some people will follow my general principles, and some will be like, no, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He probably can't even get girls. He's totally wrong because OMI's done nothing but go down for 3 years. And they'll see. We're going to see who's right in this and who's not. So fun to see how this plays out.
So something that DevvE has not had, and I guess same with OMI. Well, I guess OMI's probably had it a couple times when we like doubled in price in those like 2 hours from 0003 to 0007. But it's just these big, massive green candles, which I've been in those Telegram chats where they have like the buy bots where they show all the buys, where people just put in like $300,000 or $500,000 into like Brett or into Pepe, and it's just, damn, that's a lot. And we don't have that yet because there's not a ton of liquidity there. There's not a ton of places to get it. Now, if DevvE is on, if they do have that NASDAQ partnership, Coinbase, Binance, everyone will want to list them pretty much for free. And just now we got a glimpse of it. We got a glimpse of what I think is likely to come. We have somebody a couple minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, just purchased $37,000 worth of DevvE. And 37,000 made it go from $1.28 and it wicked up to about $1.45. Now that's just one, that is just one buy, and that's from a relatively low amount. I think that in the future, when it's the narrative, it's pumping, I think we have stuff that's like 10 or 20 times that, where people put in, $250,000, $500,000 into that. And then you get and what do green candles lead to? They lead to more green candles.
Yeah.
Generally speaking.
What was interesting to me is I was figuring out crypto, watching how 2017 played out, because I had done other things. I was new to crypto. I had some experience in stocks, a lot of experience in real estate, but crypto was a different animal. And when you're brand new to this, you feel like you're trying to drink from a fire hydrant. In fact, even when you're experiencing this, it feels like you're trying to drink from a fire hydrant, because there's so much information you can't even keep up with everything. And it feels totally overwhelming, and that's normal. But what you're looking for is well-researched projects, and you can't research everything. So you're looking for 5, 10, 15 well-researched projects that you have done tons of research on to accumulate while they're out of the narrative, nobody's talking about them, and hold them until everybody's talking about them or they die. And it's as simple as that. And, sometimes when they actually die, which is not very often, but when they actually die, you'll get some signs you'll be able to recoup a little bit of the value, so you don't actually sell at zero. And I've had a few projects during this bear market that did die, and I was able to sell them. As like one of them recently was Meld, and they announced that they were closing their doors. They couldn't get additional funding. They had spent through their runway essentially, and that they were closing their doors and giving up. And so I was able to put in a sell order, getting just a fraction of the value that I put into it. And I was like, okay, I got a small amount back out. Cool. But that's what happens when projects actually die, which is far less than you would think. Now, that's one of about 150 different projects that I'm in that died, and there's probably some more in there that are dead. The way the numbers worked out when I was new at the bear market, these numbers are going to sound terrible. They're going to sound horrible until you hear how the ending was. I was fairly new at this in the bear market, and between 2018 to 2020, 2/3 of the projects I put my money in died or pretty much became lifeless. Only 1/3 survived. So you think, man, he was wrong way more than he was right. But how were the returns? Well, from the bottom, when my whole thing got punished, to the top, it went about 100x up from the bottom. Made way more than my expectations on money. I ended up about 10x where my expectations were. Now, from what I'd put in, if I talk about what I'd put in and the ones that went to zero and everything, where'd I end up? About 20 times ahead. Wow, 20x ahead. Like, it put me into a place where I'd never have to work again in my life if I was just somewhat good with the money. Now, I did roll that all back in the bear market to take another ride up. Now, I'm not as inexperienced as I was back then, because when you're new to crypto, you're just new and you don't know how to sort for better projects. A lot of what I cover on my channel is how I've learned over 8 years now to sort for better projects so that you can leverage. There wasn't anybody talking about this stuff when I was new to crypto, so I didn't have anybody's leverage or knowledge to leverage and learn from, so that I can make better decisions. And even with the 2/3 failure rate, I made incredible returns by hanging on till the bull market. And we're not there yet. Bitcoin's had a lot of its run, and altcoins usually follow Bitcoin blasting off. Sometimes they don't even run until Bitcoin hits its actual high of the market. That hasn't happened yet. So it's early. And so people are getting impatient. That's normal. People are getting scared. That's very normal. Probably means you're on track.
And there's a bunch of stuff that we have. There's Marvel Comics, or I should say VeVe Comics, which goes in and they have Marvel, they have all of these other types of comic books in available digitally. As the old infrastructure is crumbling for local comic book stores, and you had the bankruptcy from, I think, Diamond Publishers a few weeks ago, VeVe's starting to build the new infrastructure, and that first pillar is already built. And I don't think that's really priced in yet. they've announced that the affiliate marketing program will take place in Q1. They've announced that the VeVe burst they're trying to get out in Q1. Stacker, I think, would likely roll out furthermore stuff in Q1 because that post I made the other day. And they've announced it, but none of that is priced in. The price hasn't moved at all, meaning that there's only so much time. There's only so much you can pull that spring back. And then when it happens, it's just going to happen all at once. And again, when does that happen? I don't know. They could release all of those things in Q1, and maybe it doesn't get to people's ears and it doesn't get to people's, they don't make the decision to buy until Q2. Again, when they released the app in 2020, the token didn't really go crazy until a couple months later. So I think the same thing might happen here. So if things are announced and the token doesn't go stonks and it doesn't go moon, might just be a delayed reaction. You might just have to wait a little bit, just a little bit longer.
Yeah. It's hard to tell. I wish I had a magic crystal ball because I would play things exactly right. I'd already be a billionaire because I'd see exactly where the bottom was going to be. I'd load up at that lowest price, and then I'd see exactly where the top was going to be, and I would sell it all at that exact price. And I'd be worth 100 billion, 500 billion. But is that a fair, expectation? No. So the strategy that I use isn't a perfect strategy because I don't know where the actual bottom is. But this is what I've seen. I know only a handful of people that are absolutely rich from crypto. I wish I knew more. I think a lot of my audience that started following me some 4 years ago, but a lot of them 2 and 3 years ago, I think they're well positioned that this year is going to do tremendously well for them. And you could say that they're wealthy. Now, the people that I know that are wealthy from crypto, guess what they did? Exactly the same thing I'm talking about, but they came to it on their own conclusion. It was something I watched. The people that made massive money in 2021 all followed the same strategy of use research to find better than average picks during the bear market, dollar cost average while they're low, not knowing where the bottom is, and just massively accumulate and then hold until that narrative runs really, really hard or till it dies. But in most cases, if you're researching well, they don't die in most cases. And the few that do die, that's okay because the gains on those that don't will far exceed all of what your losses were. And that strategy works really, really well. And sometimes that's frustrating. Like OMI, sure, it's frustrating that I bought some OMI at like 0.5 cents. And where is it now? Well, it's like 95% down from there, almost 95% down from there. Cool. I could have bought even more. But that's when I started dollar cost averaging into OMI. And when it's gotten really punished under this 0001, that's when I've made most of my accumulations. Now, do I think the stuff I bought at 0.5 cents is going to be up at some point? Yeah, it'll be up, and maybe it goes 10x from there. Maybe if I'm lucky, it does a 30x from there. I don't know. But what's really going to make me the money is the stuff that I've been buying at under 0.00 or like 0001. Like, absolutely incredible price at these current prices, and was just able to buy a huge stack more, like 40 plus million more. I'm excited for what OMI's going to do. Like, if we step back and look at what VeVe's doing, they're doing like these different burn mechanisms that allow you to upgrade your collectibles. This is all awesome stuff. They continue to get top intellectual property. They continue to sell many of their things selling out. Some people freak out because, oh my gosh, they released this and it didn't sell out in like 5 days. VeVe is failing. Do you realize that most digital collectible things out there do not sell out what they're putting in at all, ever? And so the fact that some of VeVe's things don't sell out is like very, very cool and very, very, like, not only is it it's abnormal that only a few of those don't sell out. That so many of them do sell out and they make so much revenues from their digital collectibles. That's really abnormal in the space. By the way, someone was asking my wife, I always pull her over if she's like, coming in and out, and I have her say hi to everyone. One of the guys wondered if, these two guys on YouTube ever get girls in their life. And I said, I'm a virgin and that I don't ever get girls.
Oh, he's not a virgin. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not.
No.
What are you talking about? I am. I would never do such things.
I would.
At least y'all are married. I'm living in sin over here. I ain't got no ring. I ain't got, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Wait, I thought you were a virgin too.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I've yet to feel the warmth of a woman.
Yep, there we go. Awesome.
You're missing out.
Maybe one day. All right, cool.
Someday I'll let her seduce me, and I'll lose my virginity to this woman.
I've been trying for like 9 years.
She's been trying to seduce me for 9 years now, she said.
Maybe one day she'll get that bread.
Yeah.
I really like people that are smarter than me and have more than me, and I like to see what they do. I like to look at the top 500 every week, and specifically like the top 100, or even like the top 30, top 10. And you take a look at, in the top 100, you have Coops, bought 244 collectibles this week. Expert 44, the number 8 wallet, purchased 469 collectibles. And Dr. Fuse, the number 2 wallet, one of these smartest dudes like ever, purchased 590 collectibles. He has 31,250. He wants Bezosman's seat. He wants the number 1 spot. And right now there's, I don't know, on average, maybe like 1,000 people per day. And you only have a couple of people each week that are really stacking in the hundreds, maybe like 5 to 10 of them. So what happens when we have 10,000 active users each day? And, you add a 0 to that. You have 50 to 100 of those Dr. Fuse guys. What happens when we have 100,000? Okay, well, now we have 500 to 1,000 people. Like, that's just going to be insane. And especially now that a lot of the product is going to burn, I think I forget the date, but at some point, all of the stuff that we have from Marvel, Star Wars, and Disney that is unsold is going to burn. And some of these things are about to become really scarce. And I don't mean just things that like, oh, it's one of these things that kind of nobody wants. There's some stuff from Moana, or there's some stuff from, what's it called? We Don't Talk About Bruno. That didn't sell. It didn't sell a ton, and that's going to be burned, and those things are going to be very scarce. And I'm very curious to see what those do. But if you're like these guys, and they kind of know what's coming, and they're acting accordingly.
Yeah, you bring up a good point of these whales that are accumulating so much, and they're just going hand over fist. And there's going to be a lot more of that. And there will be complete FOMO as it heats up, and you will have people with massive money going in and spending a fortune to try to even match these people's portfolios. And they will have to spend 10 to 50 to 100 times what these people spent to try to even match what they're at. And that's going to be fun. Like, that is going to come, and it's going to be a wild, wild ride. I do love too, like, speaking of, we've got Sanjay in here, and welcoming Mr. Hulk 181 to the VeVe Gold and Silver logo group with the sale of logo 109 just now. Congratulations. But Sanjay's done a great job at talking to David about how to attract these whales and little things that they've done to attract more of these whales to go crazy in accumulating. And good job to Sanjay. Like, obviously, Sanjay's got amazing background in business and investing, and has David's ear, because Sanjay's added so much value to the community in so many ways, and for helping David see the value in adding extra programs to really attract, and doing extra things to really attract these people, these high net worth people, to go crazy with their VeVe collectibles. And this will catch on at some point. I'm just looking for the day that these Saudi princes are coming in with massive oil money, that to them, $50 million isn't even a lot of money. For most people, that is a crap metric ton of money. But for them, social flexes are critically important. You see in like Dubai and Abu Dhabi, people bidding for the license plates that have single digits and double digits and triple digits. And they're sometimes paying, like recently, somebody paid $15 million for a license plate that was, I think it was a single digit license plate. And it's simply just a social flex that they can pull up in a car with a single digit license plate. And that's a social flex for them. And as social media has become so integrated, in the future, I think people socially flex their VeVe collectibles on their social media. And if that happens, if VeVe makes it easy for them to socially flex their VeVe portfolio on their social media, I think VeVe goes crazy to those really high net worth individuals If that happens, VeVe collectibles will be bid up like crazy, and OMI will go like catastrophically up again, like massive numbers, even further than the numbers we were talking about.
Speaking of Saudi whales or whales in the Middle East, oh, who is that? It's Rashid Al Farooq talking with Al Kahn and me in the corner. I'll say hi, me. And maybe there's something that's pretty big that's going to happen, and maybe there is a new wave of people that are going to be joining pretty soon. I just maybe, I don't know. It could not happen, but I'd like to think that it will. And this marketing is going to be turned up to 11 someday. We'll see. Hopefully soon.
Sanjay says that's an amazing flex, Randy. That's awesome. All right, DevvE is getting NASDAQ partnership. Where have you been, Mo Collections? So watch. Now, did you do a recent interview with DevvE too? Somebody was talking about that.
Not recently. I mean, believes from. I mean, he's not from DevvE though. I've had meetings with Tom recently, but nothing public. But even privately though, there's been nothing. He's very excited. He's ecstatic, over the moon, like giddy. I don't know if that's, yeah, I guess he's very happy. I mean, it's because of whatever partnership that they have. He hasn't said what it is exactly, but again, we're all kind of guessing it. But based on the team's mood and their reactions, like generally you're in a good mood if your home life is good and your work life is good, and they all seem to be in a fantastic mood, and which means either things are going okay at work and their home life is good and that's just they're happy about that, or because things at the office and things at the company are doing really well. Will Stewart that they just got, and again, it's another thing that people are overlooking, is that Will Stewart, has been an advisor for a while, but he hadn't really had an active role in the company. And now that he's on the board, now that he's going to be doing some cap raising, like that's who you want. Like you don't want to go and talk to like Wayne Gretzky about, his jump shot. Is a great hockey player, but you want to go to Michael Jordan, LeBron James to talk about your jump shot. If you want to raise capital, Will Stewart's the guy to do it. My whales are fine. They're great. They'll help when they can. But Will Stewart just has access to people in his Rolodex that I just don't have. And good, get as many Will Stewarts as you can. And I think a lot of really fun things outside of the announcement are going to happen as well.
Yeah, one of the big things going on with DevvE is they found, so years ago, and what's funny is DevVe's actually been working on their stuff for like 8 years now. They only launched their token a year ago, which is really unusual in the crypto space. Usually people launch a token right away as they're writing up their white paper and like, yes, give us money and fund it. So they self-funded and internally funded with friends and family all the way to last year where their token actually launched. And they had done some pre-sales like the year before and somewhat before that to raise some funds for it, but they didn't launch their token into way down the road for their development. And they've been able to do 8 million transactions per second since I think like 2016, 2017. And then they took 4 years to integrate their blockchain with RESTful APIs so that you could integrate with just using API calls, which is fantastic for people that want to develop with it. And so you can integrate with DevVe's blockchain. You don't need to know Solidity. You don't need to know Haskell. You can literally integrate with API calls. So they can take existing Web2 businesses. They can integrate them into blockchain that can vastly outperform their whole database with using API calls, which all their programmers already know how to do that. So it's a really cool technology that just hasn't caught massive awareness yet. And if it had caught mass awareness, its market cap would already be 6 billion, 10 billion, maybe even $20 billion. And it hasn't. But supposedly they have a big partnership coming out that will be announced soon. But from the team, the deal was signed in late last year. So the deal's already signed. It just hasn't been announced. And if the partnership is somebody big like NASDAQ is going to want to control when that announcement is made, and you have to leave that in their hands to when the exact timing of that is. Now, what would the announcement say? I don't know, other than their DevvE exchange technology, which they took their blockchain that could do really fast speeds, and they figured out how to do an exchange where the transactions happen on exactly the same block across multiple transactions. So what this does is it gets transactions times down to what they call T0. And in the exchange world, they've been looking at how to get their exchanges down from what used to be T3 time, which was like a week to settle. Then they got it down to 2 days to settle. Some things have got it down to settling the next day. Every exchange out there wants to figure out how to get to settle instantaneously. And DevvE is the only one with that technology to be able to handle that kind of volume and to handle big exchanges. And so this is going to be a technology, if it's correct, and that why wouldn't it be if this big, one of the biggest exchanges in the world, a stock exchange, has signed a deal with them. I remember when I was talking to Tom a while ago, it was like 5 months ago, and he said, wow, we had this conversation with this major exchange, and conversation went really well. And they said, if your Harry Potter magic can do what you say it can do, we're going to do a deal. They've now done a deal. So what does that tell you? They verified that the Harry Potter magic can do what they said it could do. So then they did the deal. Just the formal announcement hasn't come out yet.
Protego. I love Harry Potter. Oh, one Harry Potter on VeVe. I can't wait.
Yeah, and this is like the head of their technology, like the CTO of that, and he's making Harry Potter references. That's kind of fun. Head of one of the largest stock exchanges in the world, and he's using Harry Potter references. I like it.
I really hope that that's me. Well, not that I want that responsibility or that job, but I hope I can continue to bring whimsy to the corporate world. I start and end every meeting with meow. So I'm doing my part to spread the joy.
Make life fun and lighthearted, right? Sometimes we take ourselves too seriously. It's true. Yeah. Randy never takes himself too seriously.
That's not usually. I like to keep things fun, and I think that's what I think that helps a lot. I think I mean maybe it's a little bit of the youth. I mean, if you ask like a 16-year-old, I'm old AF. But a lot of people in this corporate world are in their 40s and 50s, like, he's just young. I'm like, feels
maybe
so nice.
Someday you'll be ready to let some lucky girl take your virginity.
Maybe they got to pass a rigorous test. If they don't know who Pikachu is, or they don't have books in their home, it ain't happening. They're not stealing my seed. Ain't doing that.
Yeah, they're out. Screen. Goodbye.
One of the things that I would love to do one day would be to maybe get into, like, I mean, right now we have like the new crypto czar, David Sachs, and he's not really whimsical at all. But when he goes in and he talks about, hey, we need new clarity for this, and the clarity is that NFTs and meme coins are collectibles, I hope that I could be one of those like experts be called in to talk about that, because one, just from VeVe, Pokemon, and all that in general, I think I'd be good with that. I don't know, what are your goals after this bull market, after everything moons and you can do relatively whatever you want? Would you want to go and talk to some politicians? I assume you could do that now, but what would you want to do? Would you want to set policy? Would you want to, or do you want to go in and just?
I would never want to be a politician. Talking to lawmakers, I would enjoy like good policy, but like the truth is, I'm liking the direction many things are going, and politicians getting the advice of Elon Musk, I think it's brilliant. Now, a lot of politicians are really, really mad at that because government doesn't run at the speed of business, and government doesn't have the transparency of business. Though business isn't perfectly transparent, is 7,000 times more transparent than even the US government is. And so there's a lot of politicians squealing right now. Why? Because I don't think they want transparency on where so much money has been going. They're hating on Elon Musk. And it's really hard to actually hate on Elon Musk. He's running like 7 like freaking amazing businesses, and somehow is also the top Diablo player in the world. Like, the guy is a freak of nature. Like Tesla has done incredible things of making electric cars like efficient. Like the lefties should absolutely love what he's done with Tesla, but they don't, giving cigarette companies a higher ESG score than Tesla because they don't like that his politics have gone from left wing to centrist. And they're like, no, there's no room for you. If you're not far, far left wing with us and you're not like drinking the Kool-Aid, you're out. And so like now they hate on him, where they used to love him because like he took a car company that was failing and made it massively successful. He's also made it massively cheaper to get rockets into space, to get satellites into space, which is amazing, and continues to do like things way cooler than NASA ever did. And he makes it no big deal. And, you know, he created the Boring Company, and he created like another solar company that's a leading solar company. Like he took that to heights. Like the guy's done all this amazing stuff, and yet they hate him. Why? I think because they don't want transparency on where that money's going. And they are scared to death that he's going to bring that to the government. And the government does not want you to know what your money's been being spent on. And so they hate him right now. They absolutely hate him. They're scared to death. I like that guy. So what do I need to go advise them when they're listening to somebody like Elon Musk? Like I like to think I'm intelligent. Now, if I hold myself next to Elon Musk, it's like, you know, so they're talking to the right people. I'm excited about that. They're talking to what's his name? That was on Doge, but had to do some other things. You actually saw him.
Vivek.
Vivek. Yes. I like that guy tremendously, right? Straightforward guy. And yeah, they're listening to all the right people. So would I do things politics? I don't know. I'm going to do some things that will augment my channel's reach, we'll just say. So I'm going to make some lavish expenditures that you will say are stupid. And you're not wrong in that they're stupid, but there's a point to them. One of the hard things is teaching people how to think right about crypto takes, number one, credibility, but takes like you first have to learn how to do it right. Secondly, like most people won't listen to you because they want to buy what everyone is talking about. So when Trump coin is going crazy, you know, all the people are like, yeah, help me get Trump coin. It's like, no, that is buying high, not buying low. Don't do that. They don't want to listen to you. So I suspect if I make some really audacious, stupid purchases and some lavish, ridiculous stuff that I don't really need, it's not for me. It's really just to get people to be like, well, if he has all that stuff and he made it through his investments, then I'm going to listen to this guy. And that'll be fun for me. So I'm going to buy like a supercar for every day of the week. So there'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it will have it on the license plate like Monday, Tuesday. And so the Monday car only gets driven on Monday. And you'll have so many people hating on that. And they're like, that's so ridiculous. But you know what they will also do? They will pay attention to the message. And it won't change most people's minds. It just can't. A lot of people just can't do this stuff. Even if you tell them all the right information, they just can't buy low and they can't sell high. They will buy high and sell low every single time because they haven't taken the time to really dig in to become good at this, and they won't have the patience to make it happen, but a larger percent will. And that's interesting to me because I found having a channel when I talk about things that are undervalued, guess what? I get a little bit of views. But what YouTube sees is nobody searching for like DevvE, covering DevvE 6 months ago. Do you think anybody in the effing world was searching for DevvE 6 months ago? No, even I put low cap layer 1 blockchain. Do you think people were finding that? Almost nobody finding it. So what does YouTube say? Well, not very many people are watching this. So definitely don't push it out to anyone else. And so it doesn't get a lot of traction, even though you're teaching people to buy things that are massively undervalued through heavy research. And you're not sharing with them what to buy. You're just sharing with them why you've bought it and why you think it's massively undervalued and making a case for them. Does that trend well on YouTube? No, it gets terribly punished. What YouTube does reward is if you talk about OMI when OMI is 1.4 cents. If you talk about OMI when everybody's searching for it and it's going absolutely crazy, you will get massive number of people searching for it, finding your video, and massive suggestions to other people that they see your video. And your YouTube channel will go tremendous, but your audience will get absolutely wrecked. And so that's why most of the people tuning into crypto, they tune into the largest channels and they buy what's being covered by the largest channels because they're the largest channels. They must know what they're talking about. And this is why 90% plus of people do poorly in crypto. Oh, well. Can you save it? Well, I suspect buying a supercar for every day of the week will help, but it will only save still a low percentage of people, but it will help some people pay enough attention that they will then listen. And that'll be fun for me. It'll be fun for me to have helped some people that wouldn't have otherwise listened.
You should get like 21 chickens and have 3 chickens designated for Monday, and the eggs that they produce on, okay, that'll be Monday's eggs. And then Tuesday's chickens will give you Tuesday's eggs, et cetera, et cetera. I think that would be great. You'd need a farm though. You'd need like maybe you could hire someone to do that. I don't know. I will totally do that. I love chickens. Anyway, there's some help that we'll get here on DevvE, DFINITY, and OMI. Watcher Guru had reported yesterday that the SEC's reduced crypto enforcement efforts, reassigning over 50 lawyers working on those cryptocurrency cases. I think a lot of these CEOs of these companies are feeling a little bit better about what the future holds, and I'm very excited about it. Especially if we can take these gains and do what Ted Cruz does, and he said he wants to abolish the IRS. Even if we don't abolish them and we just get a flat tax of like 8% or something, crypto gains for the win.
Massive, massive. Big A, I haven't seen you on Off the Grid. Now, I haven't been playing Off the Grid all that much lately either, but miss you, bro. Cavell, who has no idea about crypto, is currently farming thousands of daily views covering Toshi Base meme as it's heading back down.
Oof.
Oh, well, rip. Cavell, love you, brother. You are really good at farming engagement. That's true. Would I take crypto advice from you? I'm sorry to say, not on your life, would I? Why? You're just brand new at this. And just because you have a channel doesn't mean you're not brand new at this. And you're learning some hard lessons. And unfortunately, most of your audience is learning the hard lessons along with you. Cool. Wish you well. You're still really young. You have plenty of time. I'm not so young. So I've been doing investing for 25 years. When you're my age, if you still keep doing crypto, you'll probably have 25 years investing experience. And guess what? You're going to be so much better than you are now.
I hope that I'd be really curious to have him on for like next to no finance talk for like a 4 or 5 hour podcast.
Just to learn more about him and background and what he's passionate about outside of crypto.
Yeah. I just obviously everyone is here because of the decisions that they made. And it's like, okay, what decisions did you make? What decisions did your family make, or the people that raised you make, that impacted you? Just what makes Cavell Anderson, and why are you the way you are? And I know that sounds like why are you the way you are? It's like that one Nigerian dude that interviewed that lady, and he's just like, why are you gay? And it's like, it doesn't he didn't mean it like that. He's just like, you know what? So Cavell, maybe one day we could do that when it's all said and done and OMI goes to the moon later this year. I'll go and do that.
Yeah. Doesn't he have a lot of collectibles? I don't know that he does anymore. Wes says Elon Musk is in fact not a top player in Diablo. Hey, that's what Joe Rogan said. So Wes, I love you, but will I take Joe Rogan's word over yours? I will.
Oh. What do you take so you have Standard Chartered, they have almost $1 trillion in assets under management, says that Bitcoin could reach $500,000 before President Trump leaves office. Now, obviously, I don't think that's going to happen in 2.5 years when we're in the bottom of the next bear market. Could he mean that in 3.5 years from today, maybe the start of the next bull, or do you think that he's talking about within the next calendar year, within the next 6 months?
I don't know. I don't know what he means on that, but I think it's still going to continue, possibly continue a 4-year cycle. And I hope it does, because it's a fairly predictable cycle. It's been golden. Maybe this is the last 4-year cycle, that this bull run is like the last one. And it's so I've heard people make the case that it's going to be so mega bullish this cycle and be a super cycle, and then the cycles are all gone. But I would suggest that if that is the case, and say Bitcoin goes to 500,000 this cycle, when the pendulum swings so far to the upside, it always corrects back, just every time. And there's not a single instance where it doesn't. And so if it does go mega bullish like that, then it guarantees that there will be a bear market that follows, and then there will be a bull market that follows. Because the pendulum, when it swings too far one way, it swings too far back the other way, which is a nice setup for the next swing after that. So I hope it goes too far this way, this cycle, because that guarantees we'll have another bear market, which will be amazing time to pick up. And then there will be a bull market after that. Cool.
Great. And you have banks going in and having crypto. I think the FDIC they said they plan to revise crypto guidelines and allow banks to engage in crypto activities. That's when you get a lot of retail in. A lot of them ain't in yet. They're still waiting.
Congrats to Rafael Martinez. Got my first Todd today. Super happy about that. Prices on Todd McFarlane Batmans are amazing. So great pickup. Good job. Wes, I don't know that you're right on this. Would be next to impossible for all the transactions on NASDAQ to be on the DevvE blockchain. Why would it? Centralized databases can hold 50,000 transactions per second. DevvE can do 8 million transactions per second. Last I checked, 8 million was higher than 50,000. So why would it be impossible that all of their things? Now, I don't, even if the partnership is with NASDAQ, I don't know what it is they're saying. I don't know that the saying that NASDAQ is now going to be built on DevvE. I don't think that's what they're saying, because DevvE is launching their own exchange. So maybe I don't know exactly what this announcement would be, and we don't know who the player is for certain. Pink Panther says, I don't think it's NASDAQ, more like Charles Schwab or E-Trade. Both of these are top stock
That'd be cool.
Exchanges in the world. So they could be. So I don't know what it is. And we don't even know that it's like, okay, we're now going to use their exchange. Maybe it is that we're going to use their technology to expand what our exchange can do. Maybe that's what the announcement is, but I can't say we know what the announcement is. I'm looking forward to seeing what it is. I do know the team that does know exactly what it is mega excited. Like they can't even contain themselves excited. Cool. All right. We'll have to find out.
That's what I look for. Very exciting. Going on about 90-ish minutes. What else do you want to go over before we do the end?
Well, what do you think about the new thing? I think this is fun, where they've incorporated new burn mechanisms into like being able to upgrade things. What are your thoughts on that?
I think people are missing the fact that when they talked about the Galactus evolvables drop, and they mentioned like, hey, in order to get the ultra rare and secret rare, you have to burn this Galactus, or you have to burn the Silver Surfer. And people are like, oh, great, they're burn something that that's cool. But what they're missing is that opens the door to having every one of their, at least for now, Marvel collectibles to be able to be burned in future drops. And that has nothing to do with that having to be sold out or not. That's just specifically, that's just specifically for stuff that they've had in the past, regardless of whether it's sold out or not. That stuff, even if it did sell out, can be burned. And what do you think VeVe is going to do to their other licensors? They're going to say like, hey, you haven't given us the okay to burn your collectibles yet. That's your prerogative. Cool. But you want us to do another drop for you. Well, we're going to help Marvel do more drops because they're giving our community what they want, and they're allowing us to burn some of their old stuff. So we're going to go with people that's making our lives easier, not someone that's going to go in and say has all these hangups, has all this red tape, and is making our lives more difficult. And I think they're going to use that to go to all their other licensors and say like, hey, Marvel's letting us do all of this stuff, and you're not. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to eventually have all of the IPs on VeVe be able to be burned at some future event. And we don't have it really for comics yet. We have the comics that are going to be burned that are still in the store, but something that I think Mr. MC1 is waiting for is having burning 10 or 20 or 30 of a comic and then getting like a super secret variant, something like that. I think that is not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in the next month or so, but I think towards the middle or even end of the year, you're going to see massive burning. We'll have burn parties. And maybe in order to do that, you have to go in and burn a little bit of OMI to go along with it. That would be great. These pumpamental type things are stuff that I could really get behind. I'm super glad that VeVe's doing it.
Yeah, I love it. I love that the entire like misused government resources at the SEC aren't going after all these crypto projects about stupid things, really just trying to ruin them and shut them down through lack of clarity and very selective enforcement, which has put the brakes on everything. You know, in fact, like OMI or Ecomi's been scared to burn their OMI. Could that make them be considered a security? And they've had to be very, very cautious and tiptoe because of the lack of clarity. I hope that gets clarity and that they can make the burns easily. Now, you burning them through Stacker the way they've been set up is done in a way that shouldn't actually like hurt them with the SEC at all, but they had to like jump through all these extra hoops to do it in a way that you couldn't consider it a security because the company itself wasn't burning. I hope a lot of that shit just goes away from the SEC. What they've been doing at in the US with the Securities and Exchange Commission is just total bullshit. And, you know, Trump and Elon are fixing the bullshit. On the bullshit, you know, Big A gives some additional context here. He says, Wes is right. Elon's account he was playing when he was live on TV, he admitted to having people run his account. Okay. So maybe what Wes is saying is correct, that, you know, Elon has some people run his account. Also, Elon's record was when there was a one-shot exploit, which, okay, cool. So he made a record when there was a one-shot exploit, making him so is he the best in the world? Well, maybe he's not. Or maybe he's got one record, but not like all the records. Okay, cool. At the end of the day, he's a person running 7 amazing companies that also is somehow a really, really good video gamer. Cool. Yeah. Sanjay has good information. Speaking to the founders all the time, he may even have information he's not able to share. He says, I'm very bullish about VeVe and Ecomi with all the developments. I trust David, Dan, Ben, and Dr. Profit, and between the 4 of them, they have all the skills necessary to drive success across digital collectibles, metaverse tokens, IP, and innovations. Exactly that. Love it. Now, I wanted to share this one because it made me laugh. Kiwi Jezza says, Rain is going to buy 7 Lambos and present himself as a crypto guru. Well, Kiwi Jezza, I'm already a crypto guru. What the hell are you talking about? I just don't have 7 Lambos yet because it would be way too early for me to buy 7 Lambos. I could buy 7 Lambos right now. Now, that would be really, really dumb of me because there's this thing called opportunity cost. It's not just what it cost you for them, but what kind of upside did you miss out on by buying that when you could have had invested in something that made you tons of money? Yeah, that would be dumb. So I don't own them now. I live pretty modestly, actually, still to this day. I actually drive a more modest car than most of the audience probably does. Why? Because making yourself wealthy has to do with your income is here, your expenses are here. That's what gives you money to invest. And this money to invest, when you invest it wisely, is what makes you wealthy. Now, a lot of people make this income and they spend here and they have no money to invest and they never become wealthy. They're living paycheck to paycheck. Many doctors do and many other people do. So some people think that if you're showing tons of stuff already, then you must be rich. And that's not often true. Sometimes it is. But when you've made so much money that buying a Lamborghini or another sports car, because why would I buy 7 Lambos? That'd be boring. You know, it's got to be like 2 Lambos, 2 Ferraris, got to be like a Porsche. I really want a nice Porsche. Big A has actually been filling me in on what cars don't depreciate as much. He's actually really good at the car stuff. And why would I buy high depreciating cars? I'd want ones that maintain their value pretty well because I love things that go up in value. I don't love things that go down in value. I'm not really a car person, but it will help more people listen. Is the message fundamentally going to change? No, it just has more flash involved. And sometimes people need to see flash to listen. Cool. But if you're not listening to what I'm sharing already, the message is lost on you. I don't know why you're not getting this, but most of my audience right now, I'm not sharing with them anything new. They recognize these principles from other things that they've learned. And you're like, yes, exactly. Oh my gosh, buy low, sell high. Okay, research. Buy a project when it's massively out of the narrative and it's massively undervalued. Like, they get that. Would I be able to attract even more people if I had a supercar for every day of the week? It would get more people's attention. I wish that wasn't the case. I wish they could just hear the right things and they would know it, recognize it, and follow it. But that's not human behavior in general. Only 5% of people think like that. So far, I've been able to attract about 5% of people who watch my videos. And I'm really happy with that. Have an amazing community. I don't have to do this. YouTube, I think last month paid me $105. Yay, that's amazing. Why do I do this? Well, because when I started this, I made a commitment to my audience in December of 2020. I said, look, I'm going to start talking. I'm already doing all this research anyway. I might as well share it with you. And if the channel can get big enough, I will use that to do interviews with the projects I'm interested in and be able to ask much deeper questions so I can make better informed decisions on what I am buying. And I will share that all with you. So the whole purpose of YouTube wasn't for massive YouTube revenues. It was to get access, to be able to get behind the scenes information, not necessarily private information that can't be disclosed, but information that hasn't gone public yet. And I can make better informed decisions, because one of the things that I sold in the 2021 bull market, I sold at 100x gains. But had I had a big enough YouTube channel, I would have been able to reach out to the team, because they had made a decision already that they were going to do things differently than they had planned, which led to another 30x from there. And I sold because I was worried about that decision. They had promised to do some things 2 years later, and it was running on that 2 years, that would tank the price of what I held. And had I had access to the team, because I had like 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 subscribers on YouTube, I would have found out that they had decided to massively delay that action they were going to take, which then allowed it to pump from, I sold at 400,000 and it went to $12 million, all because I didn't have a YouTube channel. I didn't have access to that kind of information. Not only that information for me, but for my audience. So it is a different type of YouTube channel. I'm not here for YouTube revenues. I'm not here for sponsor revenues. That is immaterial. I'm here for massive gains, and having the channel gives me access to get to know people like Dave, to get to know people like Sanjay, to get to know people like Tom Anderson from DevvE and have them on my channel and be able to get much, much better research, to have DevvE on my channel, to have Chain on my channel, to have all these projects on my channel and be able to ask questions. So not only myself, but now with StreamYard, you can ask them your questions too, to create this environment where we get to ask questions to the actual team members that we wouldn't get asked if we didn't have this together. So it was a joint effort, and I love it. So if YouTube never pays me very much, I don't care. Indirectly, it's paid me a fortune. This bull market is going to go incredibly well for me because I'm able to get way better information and share it with all of you. Some people don't know how to value it yet. Some people are convinced I'm completely wrong on this stuff. Cool. We're going to find out how it plays out. Some people might even be convinced that I'm a virgin. Awesome. Congratulations.
There's this is almost like a cheat code where people can go into people's Telegram groups and they could ask questions, and sometimes, like Ecomi did this back in the day, you know, they answer until they get too busy and they can't anymore. But there's only so much that you get from a message. Getting them on the channel and getting to see the subtle facial expressions that they make, whether they smile at a certain question, whether they're trying, you can tell they're trying not to say something, and that is something that can take you from, well, I'm on the fence about this, to, oh, he's excited about something or she's excited about something, and then going in and saying like, yeah, that's it. And a lot of times that's really what can help make you a lot of money. Obviously, this comes from years of experience. This doesn't have a, this isn't for everyone, but man, I am so thankful that I'm alive at this moment, that have the money to invest in a bunch of these things. I wish I was a little bit older and smarter like Rain, or I would have had a little bit more money to deploy this previous bear market and this early bull, but maybe next time I'll have a little bit more. I know we're not done with this bull market yet. but I can't wait for the next one. I can't wait for the next bear. I can't wait to stack stuff. I'm hella excited. Life is good.
It is good. And Randy, I think you're going to do so well this bull market. Like you'll hit a lot of your financial goals. You'll be like, oh my gosh, that went better than I thought it would. And I'm really excited for all of you. We've all waited for being at the right place at the right time. And that right place and right time is here now. And it's been here for the last year. Now, many people won't take advantage of this. Just like many people didn't take advantage of Google's IPO. Many people didn't take advantage of Amazon during the bear market when all the .com bust happened. And they just passed it up and they're in the right place at the right time, but didn't take the right actions. But I know so many of you are in the right place, right time, taking very strong actions that I think are going to go really well for you. I'm excited about that. I'm excited for the results of this, and we're going to see out, and we're going to see all these fudders. Are they right, or did OMI go absolutely crazy? Were they wrong again? Because the truth is, I don't know a single one of those fudders that have massive net worths. There are a few of them that have some net worths that are actually sizable, but most of them don't. And those that do didn't make it from crypto cycle investing. So we're going to see how it plays out. I'm excited to see. Not only time will tell, but I do think you're in exactly the right place at the right time. If you're watching this show, you're in a really good place. Cool. Any final thoughts, Randy?
Can't wait. This is, I know that there are some people that will try to, there's a book called Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, or Rolling Thunder, Hear My Cry. And it's like in the 1800s, there were like still slaves, or black people still just were treated horribly. And there's this teacher that tells these kids, like, and it's a black teacher, is like, no, you're black, you're a second class citizen, you're never going to be anything but that, because she had been treated so horribly for so long as a black person herself. She just kind of gave up hope, and she was really trying to inculcate in these kids that, like, hey, it's better just to give up hope now. And I see that the lesson I got from that book was there are always going to be people that, as long as they remember what was, they'll be unable to accept what can be in the future. And the future hasn't happened yet. And oh man, this is one of the best times, I think, in the history of the world. And I know that there are people out there say, like, oh, you'll never make it. You're playing with internet money. You can't spend it. Like even Bitcoin that people talk about, you can't even spend that. What chance do these tokens have? Nobody's ever heard of that. I'd much rather invest in something that's flying under the radar, that's making money. There's one thing I learned in the military: you can only fly under the radar for so long. If you are that good, you will get discovered, and it's just going to blow up from there. So I'm very excited. Don't let the negative people out there take your bat away because they think, oh, you're not going to hit a home run. Why even bother trying? Keep that bat, keep swinging. Maybe you strike out, but yeah, maybe you hit a home run too.
I really like people think about it like this. Look, this crypto investment, when I started my crypto journey in 2017, I would do my day job and I would come home and I would dig into research for 7 hours a day. And people thought I was crazy and obsessed. But here was my thought. If I could figure out this crypto thing, because the volatility is so high, does allow the internet to do things it couldn't do before. So of course, technology is going to go this way. If I could figure it out, that I could, on top of my day job, I could invest and I could make enough to let go of my day job. And if I could continue to invest, grow my wealth into the tens and hundreds of millions of dollars. And in 2021, I was able to let go of my day job. And I've been just living off of my crypto stuff. And even in the bear market, I've been able to redeploy most of that capital. And we'll see how 2025 goes. I think it's going to be an amazing year. And I'm glad so many of you have prepared well for this. I think it's going to go amazing for you. Thank you all for joining us.
Say bye-bye to Dashy. Bye-bye, Dashy.
All right, guys. We'll see y'all soon.